got to say there's quite a lot of tunnels around the Perth shared path network, a heck of a lot more than you'd find around Sydney for the similar area. And one of the things I've discovered is a lot of these paths aren't straight through. They've got bends with blind spots in them. And so you've got to be fairly careful going into and out of a lot of these tunnels. Not only do you need to wash off some speed and be covering the brakes, but a lot of the time you also need to be ringing your bell as you're coming through. Now, obviously some tunnels are like this one where they're straight through and there's very good visibility, but there's just as many like this one where it's a sharp bend going into the tunnel. There I am ringing my bell, and there's someone coming the other way ringing their bell. And the reason we're doing this is, I go through this tunnel quite a lot. And there's quite a few times I've gone into the tunnel and there's been people coming the other way and they're on the wrong side of the path. So for instance, coming around there, they cut the corner and they're on your side of the path. Or, coming this way, they also cut the corner and they're on your side of the path. So I always give a couple of bell rings as I'm approaching the tunnel and about halfway through it to let people know who are coming the other way that I'm there. Now this is a bendy tunnel at Swanbourne Claremont train station, Showgrounds train station. It's terrible, and they've got these slow down signs on the approach for a reason, because it's a S-bend through here, and there's two blind corners, and I always ring my bell. Yep, there you go, on approach to let someone coming the way know that I'm approaching. And look at this idiot coming through here. Yep, no hands. I mean, sure, that's fantastic skills, but what on earth is he going to do if there's someone coming the other way, like, someone with a kid in a trailer or a dog in a trailer or a cargo bike that's potentially filling the path from side to side? Because I've seen that happen. This is not a particularly wide tunnel. So, and the last thing you'd want to do is be coming around that corner and find that there's, say, a mum pushing a pram going a heck of a lot slower than a bike, and everyone's got nowhere to go. What do? You got to be able to get your hands on the brakes to be able to brake, and you got to be going slow enough so that you can pull up in your sighting. What do you call it? In your sight distance. So there's tunnels. Even tunnels like this one on the way to Subiaco have got a slight bend on the way in and the way out, and your sight lines are impacted, whereas there's quite a few others like this where there's a bit of a bend, but you can definitely see through the tunnel and there's no issues. Of course, the other thing you've got to be careful of over here is maintenance vehicles on the path. And here, for instance, at this coffee shop, I always slow down and ring my bell because people have a bad habit of walking out of the coffee shop there on the left with a coffee in their hand and their phone in the other, not looking where they're going, and they just blunder across the path. So you've got to be aware of just blind spots galore. Here's another very narrow tunnel. Thankfully, we both rang our bells and slowed down a lot and avoided a head-on crash going through there, which would be quite possible on that very sharp curve there. So, although it's an excellent shared path network, you do need to realise that there's old tunnels like this one which date from the early 1970s. And their design philosophy is, quite out of date. A modern tunnel would be much wider and wouldn't have these sightline issues. So, things to be aware of, and I think it's just common courtesy and common sense to ring your bell as you're approaching a tunnel where the visibility is not that good, and to ring your bell before you exit, so that someone coming the other way knows that you're there. But look, most importantly, no matter what you're doing going into one of these tunnels, for goodness sake, keep your hands on the handlebars. Don't be Mr. Fancy Pants, and be ready to stop if you need to.